You wanted to know lefts and rights. Hey, is it going to be steep or slack? Is it going to barrel? Like, how many waves are going to be in a set? And we were just like, I don't know, because science hasn't told us. And suddenly you have all this data and you have this kind of machine learning paradigm. You're like, well, we don't need this expertise anymore. The computer can go and do the thinking for us. As long as we've got enough data, it can make those connections. And now we can start telling surfers what they really care about, which was, for me, that was pivotal. I was like, well, this is surely must have been the vision I had 20 years ago, even if I didn't really have it clearly, right? This is the end game now. And so that's where I got to a point where I was like, I don't care. Like, this is a good deal, a bad deal, or an ugly deal. Like, I want to be in that room with all those things to play with. And luckily, it was a good, fair, honest deal, and I got my hands on the toys.
I understand what you're saying about the cameras being kind of a sensor, but what data? So they can collect the data, which is the frequency of waves, maybe to a certain degree, the wave height, but can they predict or capture, if it's barreling versus not barreling and details like that?
I'll send you some stuff, and you can share it with people listening. But we can tell how big the waves are in the pocket as the wave evolves through the whole wave. We can tell whether it's being surfed. We can tell how far the surfer is from the lip, from the trough, from the pocket, all the way through the wave. We can tell whether they got barreled. We can tell whether the lip's plunging or spilling. We can see the shape of that, and we can work out whether there's a barrel. We can see spray coming off the back of the lip as it's plunging as another signal that it's barreling. We can see everyone in the water to the extent that we know how many surfers are there. We can see that they're sitting on their boards, which means we can infer currents, because obviously if they're drifting, we can track movement. So there's a huge amount of data that comes out of those things that's directly relevant to the things we care about as surfers. So yeah, it's exceeded my expectations, to be honest, because I thought there's some stuff we can do here, but that world is moving so fast and we're just kind of hanging on for the ride.
Yeah, it's insane to even try to wrap your mind around. Like, it's really at a certain point, just how fast can we process the data and then
Yeah.
translate it to the user? Because I mean, with everything you just said, you can predict crowds, you can
Yep.
predict. Yeah, that's insane.
All the things you care about. And again, as I keep trying to wrap my head around this, is like, talk to the people about what we're building and talk to the team. Like, just listen to this conversation as though it were a parking lot conversation with another informed surfer. Like, if you got out of the water and I'm getting in and I say to you, hey, David, how was it? Like, you're not going to say to me it was 3.6 for 16 from the southwest. That's for sure. You might say it was 3 to 4 foot, right? And you might say it was fair or fair to good or one of those other things. But there's like a whole host of things you're probably going to tell me immediately after 3 to 4 foot, which frankly I can see with my eyes anyway, right? That are the bit that I really care about. And we don't do any of those things at the moment.
Yeah.
And we can do all of those things.
Right.
And we can do them, thousands of places around the globe. So that's the bit that as you can tell from this conversation, gets me kind of excited that there's it's another 10 years of this thing.
Yeah, it's honestly not that different than the way Google Maps operates and tells me what the traffic's going to be like on my morning
Right.
commute, right?
Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's that subtle little, you slip into it, don't you? I was thinking this the other day. You get in your car now and you use that satellite navigation, and again, that you can't remember a time without it, and it doesn't feel artificial or odd or supplementary. It's just core to that experience. And I think there's data here that can be the same, and it gets us into this really interesting place. So if you think about, Surfline's been, to my mind, and seaweed, in this paradigm where it's like everyone's trying to get a magazine cover shot. Like, you're waiting for 6 to 8 an epic, right?
Yeah.
Everyone else, that's the formula. Here we go. We tell you what it is, and that's not the reality, right? Most people don't want that. Most people want something different. And at the moment, there's really very little personalization in this. And it's an accusation that recently gets thrown at us. It's like, hey, you're throwing all the people in the same place at the same time. I don't like this. It's the kind of nature of the information that we have to offer. But we know that, Orange County loves Blackies and Tahini and these other places that offer a different version of the surfing experience. And we haven't really been able to speak to that
Mm.
before now. And this data will give us the ability to do that, so we can be really tailored in helping people get to like where they want to get to, not just the epic
Yeah.
day at the epic spot, which I think that's quite transformational as well.
Um, the next kind of detail of data that other tech companies are collecting for forecasting traffic or whatever else is like user submitted data,
Yeah,
for Waze, let's say, for
yeah,
or so what does that look like for Surfline? Will you be utilizing that or asking people to plug it in on their own or
yeah. It's an interesting one. You know, there's a conundrum at the heart of what we do, right? Which is we all want this information and we all wish no one else had it. That's the blunt truth. And so I
yeah.
think that we're in a slightly different place than Waze, for example. Waze was like, hey, we all put in and we all get out. With surfing, I think we got to be respectful of the fact that people are perhaps a little more private with what they know and what they do than that. Not everybody, but some people. So I think we'd always want to treat that with like a degree of respect, and make sure that if we did that, it was kind of clearly reciprocated. That you're going to put this in and you're going to get this out. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, I mean, we should be doing it because we've got so many people on the platform, so many people are using the product. There's obviously an opportunity for us, but it's that just it's like all these things. It's very easy to look around at the world around you and see these analogs and just assume that they're going to fit. But
No.
the reason that, like you said earlier, the reason that Surfline's run by surfers is because I hope we understand those real subtle sensitivities and differences that just make this thing what it is. So yeah, definitely never say never, but I just got to figure out what that looks like done right, and what the
Yeah.
incentive is. Like, why do you want to share it with me? Why do you trust me to look after it correctly and get that bit, perfect?
Yeah.